5-0 or so, right? That's where we are. So we got the EDF staff here, and we're going to talk about some NBA trade deadline that happened today. We have Liam up there from Philly, sporting the Philly gear. We got Jack. Jack, you from around Philly too, aren't you?
I'm about an hour and a half north. I'm in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Let's go. I'm Westchester.
Uh-oh. I know they battle in the football, don't they? Somewhere right around in there, the high school.
Yeah, we probably.
Yeah. And then we have Lamar, Mr. Lamar Fields, down there in the corner. How you doing, Lamar?
Doing pretty good.
All right. So let's go ahead and jump right into this, man. This was a busy day today. We had some actually good trades finally, because as you guys well know, most of the past years, we get to this trade deadline and it's hype, and then nothing ever happens. So this was pretty cool right now. We'll start with Liam, if you want to. Who do you think was the biggest winners today?
So I actually think the biggest winner today specifically was Denver. And the reason I think that is because they got more athletic. They are able to defend more. And you could argue now that they have the best starting five in basketball. When you look at Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., assuming that he's going to be the small forward. I'm not sure what you're doing at the 2 guard, because I know you traded Gary Harris, but like that's a legitimate, I don't want to say big 4, but like if playoff Jamal Murray comes back, that's a big 4.
Oh, that's true.
So I think Denver's the biggest winner on the day because they addressed an area of need. They got better against the team that they struggled against. They're a tough matchup for the Lakers. Jokic is a hard matchup against Anthony Davis. You saw that last year in the playoff series. This gets them a little bit more ready for a healthy Lakers team if it comes down to them meeting up again. And to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the Oladipo move to Miami. So, yeah, Denver's my pick.
That one's got me kind of shook a little bit too. Jack, who do you think won today?
I actually think Miami did win.
Really?
I like the Oladipo move because Oladipo, again, he was an all-star before his injury. I understand that he's not back full time or even back full speed. But when you look at what Victor Oladipo gives to Miami, he gives them a dynamic point guard now. I mean, you had Dragic, who was on his last leg. He's had some nice games. He's better off the bench, right? You have Kendrick Nunn, who's not really a pure point guard. So really what they've been doing is having Jimmy Butler, who's fantastic, get them into all their motions and all their sets. Well, now you can give Jimmy rest and bring him, give him some minutes off of starting and off of all that dribbling, all that work, and let Oladipo run some of the offense. I really like that. I do think Denver was fantastic as well with bringing in Aaron Gordon. And I don't know if the Lakers even get out of the West.
Yeah, that's true. Lamar, who do you think won?
I like what the Nuggets and like what the Heat did. I like Oladipo on the Heat. And now you got 2 players on the wing that can defend and score. Help Butler out, so you ain't got to defend the best player every night. They can switch off and do whatever. And Aaron Gordon in Denver was nice.
So
and also,
you guys like? Well, you like Miami like that though. But what about their big men? Are you okay with their big men? So now that they've covered those wings,
if they can get LaMarcus Aldridge out there, that'd be. They say he's a favorite to go to Miami. That'd be another huge move for them too.
That's true, and we will definitely get to there. But
can I ask a question to the both of you though? So are you not worried though that the Heat are going to be incredibly isolation basketball, because that's Jimmy's bread and butter? I trust me, I saw it during an amazing playoff run that ended breaking my heart by Kawhi Leonard. He's an amazing ISO player. Oladipo operates the best in ISO situations with the ball in his hand. The only one who's really a good off-ball player is Duncan Robinson. Tyler Hero, even to like a certain extent, needs the ball. So I kind of think that they're going to not I don't know how the flow is going to be of their offense. I really don't.
Well, I mean, so Eric Spoelstra, he's what? He's a video guy, right? So he's going to look at multiple ends of the offense. They're not really – that's the one thing they haven't been good at. Jimmy's not really a good ISO, like one-on-one player. He likes to kick, and he can't beat a lot of guys. I mean, he's great at what he does, but let's face it, he's not Antetokounmpo. He's not one of those bigger. He's not Kawhi Leonard. He's not any of those guys. So a lot of times he defers kicks out to Robinson or Hero. Now they actually have somebody like finally the Heat can operate one-on-one in the half court if they get an Aldridge, if they get Oladipo. I really think it's going to help Jimmy Butler kind of settle in a little bit more, because if you have to keep pushing the way he does every single, I mean, you're winning games 92-88. He's winning games in this type of league, 90s basketball style. And I'm just, I think Oladipo and Aldridge will give him a break, don't you?
I mean, if they get Aldridge, yeah, definitely. Would you have rather, though, had Lowry get traded to the Heat or Oladipo? That's just a question I just.
So Lowry's a little long in the tooth. Lowry's a little long in the tooth for me. There's a lot of tread on those tires. Long term, I believe in what Pat Riley's doing. He knows exactly what players he's plugging into Spoelstra's system. I mean, really the way Pat Riley looks at it is if he was younger, he'd be Eric Spoelstra coaching this team. He's just not. So he's kind of that's how he's doing it.
I get what you're saying. I think that's why he's keeping him around, actually. But
he's living vicariously through Spoelstra right now. So, I mean, Oladipo, sure, he had that injury, but who's got a longer NBA life, and that's going to be Oladipo over, Kyle Lowry is a win-now guy. That's why Philly was trying to get him.
What you think, Lamar?
Yeah, I think what the Heat are doing is good. Pat Riley know what he's doing down there. He needs to get more scoring, more defense, and another guy that can handle the ball. And especially going up against the Nets and Philly, you gotta have people to score. When you go against the Nets, you have to score the basketball.
And that's what you're building for, actually. I mean, that everybody in the East has to be building for the Nets, right? I mean, everything that was done today, if you were in the East, Boston, picking up Fournier, however you want to say Evan's name there, but do what he said too, by the way. Google his name. Google his last name, all right?
Yeah, you should.
Just give that a shot and see what happens. But that's why they made those moves, right? That's why they did what they did, because everybody wants to try to chase the Nets, right?
Yes.
Isn't that the whole idea there? So since we keep getting back into Lowry and him, what do you think about him not getting traded? Was that a good move by the Raptors, or did they kind of blow it when they had their moment because of almost what Jack said?
Well, if they didn't get the right package, then I can't say they blew it. I mean, he did say he wants to retire a Raptor one day. So what if, I know he wants to contend, right? And he said he wants another 2-year contract. What if that just comes with the Raptors now? I mean, that's in play, and he's the greatest player in franchise history, and Masai Ujiri and that fan base love him. He's invaluable, even in his older age, just for what he brings to the court, the toughness, the tenacity, the how good of a teammate he is. But I wouldn't have taken a lesser package if I'm the Raptors. And to be honest, I mean, I think they've kind of got the better end of the deal with the Trailblazers, if I'm going to be honest. Masai Ujiri is known for making great moves. He did in Denver, and now he does in Toronto. So if the deal wasn't there, he's one guy that I trust to pull the trigger and trust to not pull the trigger. He has a great track record. So
Toronto got Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood, correct?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the better deal too. Rodney Hood's coming off the injury, but I mean he's super athletic, and Gary Trent Jr. is a young kid out of Duke. I think who's the guy they trade away? Forgive me.
You didn't like that trade, did you?
Look, Powell's playing at the pinnacle of what he can. I like Gary Trent Jr. can get to be where Powell is, and then you threw in Rodney Hood. I just he fleeced them.
And Gary Trent could also be a starting point guard in the NBA once he develops a little more, which is more invaluable than an average small forward that Norman Powell is.
I got a question for you. So if let's say Philly made that, let's say Philly got Kyle Lowry, right, and they moved Tyrese Maxey and all these other guys, right? What do you do with Ben Simmons then? Because he can't shoot, and he's not really good power forward, by the way.
I was thinking the same thing, and you know what? When I was like, talking to my friends and whatnot about it, I really didn't have a definitive answer. But what I do think is that if you go back to the playoff series 2 years ago with Jimmy Butler, when Ben was basically put into a dunker's role, I don't think Doc Rivers would delegate Ben Simmons to a dunker's role like Brett Brown did. I think Doc Rivers would find a better use for him. What that use is, I don't know. But
boy.
I really I like I would have liked the idea of it because maybe I don't know, maybe then you stagger more minutes because Ben's most effective minutes actually come with Embiid off the floor. They're good with each other, better than people think. But Ben operates at his pinnacle or at his peak when Joel's off the floor.
It's just tough because I'm a Knicks. I like the Knicks, right? Because I like, and there's nobody more gangster than Pat Riley. He wins in LA, goes to New York, he retires in Miami. I mean, that dude's been watching. He wrote the pamphlet for The Sopranos. But so Philly won the game, right? The game was essentially over. Thibodeau never lets a game be over, but Ben Simmons misses 2 free throws, and he's doing a lot. I know everybody wants to bark about how great of a defender he is, but just because you're a great defensive player doesn't get you into an all-star game. And you're missing free throws down the stretch. And if you did pick up Lowry, he's going to run point because he can do more. I'm starting to have questions about where Ben Simmons fits.
So you feel like they missed the boat on that, but yet Philly still has a lot to do, don't they?
I feel like there's a lot of question marks. Like, did you not make the trade because you don't know where to put Ben on the court with Lowry? Because essentially you don't need him on the court with Lowry then. Lowry can run the offense. Is he just a defensive player? And then if he is, would you have rather draft Jaylen Brown over Ben Simmons?
You mean Jason Tatum?
No, I mean Jaylen Brown.
Jason Tatum was the 3 pick over Ben in that draft with Ben Simmons, right? Wasn't he?
No,
I'm sorry. We took Markelle Fultz instead of Jason Tatum. That's my fault.
No, you're there. You're good.
But yes,
after you said that, didn't click into me either. When you said Markelle, I was like, "Yep, I remember that."
so that was the problem. First off, if we drafted Jason Tatum, we would have won a championship by now. But
I'm with you. That's a strong argument.
But Ben Simmons, do I have questions about his fit? Yes. Do I have questions about where he's gotten better? Yes, because he really hasn't improved in the box score like you'd want to see. One thing that he has done though that is noticeable to me is he has a man's body now. So when he's driving into the paint, what he used to do and what he still does sometimes, and to a fault, is he just like goes in and he doesn't go in hard and he looks to pass it out. But we saw just over the past, I want to say 6 weeks or so, there was a few weeks stretch where he averaged about 25 points a game, and he was taking this nice little floating hook shot. He was getting into the paint. He was bodying people. He was looking strong. And that's the Ben Simmons that can be effective no matter who's on the court with him, because Joel can stretch the floor.
For all the things that Ben, like, you want to compare Ben Simmons to Magic Johnson, which is pretty fair comparison. Magic wasn't a great shooter. I need a hook shot, very consistent, and I need you to keep your defenders honest from 15 feet away. I don't even need the 3-pointer. But if someone's not going to guard you till you get below the foul line, I mean, you're really defeating the purpose of what now the spread offense is now.
Hey, those are all great points on Philly, but I got a question about Aldridge, guys. Lamar, if Miami doesn't get Aldridge, where does he go?
Man, that's a tough question. I mean, I feel anybody can be in place for him now.
And does that mean though that Miami will the whole thing was for nothing? Because we kind of said that they kind of need him, right?
Yeah, that would definitely help him against. That'll help him against, give him some size, go against the Nets and the other teams out there. But as far as whoever else will get him, I think everybody that's in the running for a championship running would be after him.
You would
be
think.
A nice piece to have.
Where do you think he's going, Liam?
Portland. I want him to go back to Portland. So when I like really got into basketball, like in 2013, 14, I grew up an Allen Iverson fan, but when I like truly like started like investing in the game, the Sixers suck. So I was watching the Pacers Heat series, the couple series that they had in the playoffs. And one of my first and fondest memories as like a real basketball fan is Damian Lillard's shot against the Rockets in the playoff series, where his first playoff buzzer beater. And, the Portland Trailblazers from that point, they're my Western Conference team. I root for them with every fiber of my being. Damian Lillard's my favorite player. I want them to reunite. I never wanted them to go. I never wanted LaMarcus to go. I understand there was friction. LaMarcus was a little wimp about that for sure. Dames was meant to be the star of that city. There was no chance LaMarcus could save himself. Dame was on the rise, and I think he understands that now. Go home, LaMarcus. Finish what you started. I don't think you're winning a championship. That's okay. Go back to Portland.
I like it. Jack?
So, well, I mean, really the answer is in his name, right? LaMarcus Aldridge, LA. Either one of them. Either the Clippers or the Lakers. I think the Lakers need the most help. But I mean, so you look at the Clippers now, and if they get a player like Aldridge, who again, in the half court, he's very good with that turnaround jumper. Now you got George, Leonard, Aldridge, Rondo. I mean, and Rondo knows how to get him in positions as well. So it would be no different. Yeah. In fact, he'd be more dangerous as a Clipper than in Miami. Instead of Oladipo getting him into sets, it would be somebody like a Rondo or a Beverly getting him into sets. And then, you don't have to count on Paul George showing up.
Did the Clippers not also make enough room too today? Like I believe I heard somewhere like some of their little trades that they made enough room to add an Aldridge if they could, I believe. So I think the Clippers could actually make that happen. And as far as the Lakers, what do you guys think? 4 to 6 weeks for James? I mean, does that kill them off? I mean, I know AD is about to come back, so is that going to equal it out? What's going to happen there?
So as long as they are not the 10 seed when LeBron comes back, I think it's fine. If they are the 7 or 8 seed when he comes back and they can't claw their way into the 6 seed, are you really worried about the Lakers in the play-in that they're having again against the Grizzlies or one of those teams? Because I'm not. The Lakers don't need home court advantage to get back to the finals if they're fully healthy. If they're 100% fully healthy, that is a big caveat. But they don't need home court advantage. They could get there from the 8 seed. Would it be a tougher path? Yes. But then they knock off the 1 seed in the first round, and suddenly it's a little easier.
I mean, Utah's better than they are right now. Phoenix is better than they are right now. Denver's better than they are right now. I mean, and again, 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks for a young kid, 23, 20 to 27, fine. You're talking about a grown, older man in LeBron James. I understand he's a fantastic athlete and all the things that go along with it. We still need to find out if again, like you said, if they're not the 10 seed, can Anthony Davis, because he's never carried a team.
No.
I mean, he's carried them to the 10th seed, but he has not carried them anywhere. So I understand he's a great number 2, but this number 2 doesn't have a good supporting cast. Here's what the Lakers actually need with LeBron James out. They need the Kyle Kuzma that was that thought he was the man when Ball was tossing them and he was jacking threes and averaging 30 a night. Because if he gets 30 a night, Davis can play the whatever role he wants to play. Because I really don't think Davis is an alpha. And I think that if Kuzma thinks he is, he can be an A-.
What about you, Lamar? You there in California, man. What do you think?
I'm not worried about the Lakers. Just get healthy. That's all I'm worried about. If they can get healthy, then they'll take care of itself. I'm not worried about no Utah or Phoenix and all them. Lakers don't need to worry about the Clippers and the teams like the Nuggets. Some other teams, I don't think, especially Utah, I feel they ain't gonna show up in the playoffs.
Nah, they'll fold like they always do. But again, I'm biased. Okay, I'm not.
I just think they moved
the ball. I have
ball.
everything against Utah. I'm just saying that.
They do move the ball well.
They play a nice brand of basketball. You know, so again, anybody can be caught. You know, Mutombo's Nuggets proved that a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
And if anybody can be caught, then if Utah's playing the same brand of basketball, I don't know if a LeBron James coming off a high ankle injury, especially with his weight, he's not that he's a fat player, but he's a heavy guy. We're not talking about a point guard with a high ankle. We're talking about like a Jokic or, you know, a bigger guy with a high ankle. Is he going to come back and? Huh?
Yeah, the high ankles are crazy too, because you don't know the severity of a high ankle for.
Right. Is he going to come back with the same zest and the same pop? I mean, and again, Utah moves the ball, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, since we've talked about all these guys and all that, what did today do for your fantasy team? Did it help your guys' fantasy team? Did some of these players that have moved, are they going to now skyrocket? I mean, come on, Jack, this is your gig right here, man. Where did they go? Where did these guys go?
I'll tell you what, kind of hurt me a little bit because I had Jimmy Butler, and not only was he scoring points, but he was you know, attributing a lot of assists, and I think he'll be dialed back a little bit. So Jimmy Butler takes a step back, but I mean, he's still the heart and soul of the Heat. So maybe he'll give you an extra steal, maybe an extra block because he can play better defense because he's not facilitating everything. You don't ever have to worry about Jimmy Butler. That you're talking about the guy who was in Minnesota who found out that Karl Anthony Towns was getting paid more than him, so rolled the ball to him and asked him to beat him one-on-one. This dude doesn't care. As far as everybody else goes, I think it's better for Aaron Gordon. There's less pressure on him. Which means I think he could become, you know, not that he wasn't before, but consistently a 16 and 12 guy. Maybe get a few more blocks.
Here's the thing that people don't ever talk about with him, and in fact, Magic fans put him down, which drives me insane. But he can play defense. So
I think
not only can he score, but he can actually guard, which is something the Nuggets desperately need, with somebody to help guard the bigger guys that were more athletic because they were getting taken all the time by those guys. So that's where he's going to play even a bigger role than most people know.
That's where I think he takes the fantasy jump, is defensively.
I believe so too. That would be my one guy. Evan, maybe, because he can shoot too. I just don't know how Boston's going to use him. So I don't know, kind of like, what is he going to come off the bench? What, you know?
I actually think what he does is he helps the offense, because Evan always he's always popping the ball, and you know, Kemba's kind of one-on-one, Tatum's one-on-one, and Jaylen Brown is kind of in between those two guys. I think what Evan will do is he'll bring the ball movement that he used down in Orlando to Boston, and it'll be more sharing. I think he helps Boston. I tell you what, I think his fantasy stock rises.
Liam, anybody you see that you think is going to skyrocket up or drop?
So admittedly, I don't play fantasy, but I have been thinking about this question. And yes, we do have a drop. The drop is going to be Zach LaVine. So now that we have Nikola Vucevic on the Bulls, he's better than Wendell Carter. He's better than Lauri Markkanen, like a lot, maybe better than both combined. And it's going to take pressure off LaVine, one, but it's going to take shots away from LaVine, two. And he's not like, yes, he can still score at a seismic clip, but he's going to have marginally less opportunities to do that. So while the fantasy hit might not be big, it's going to drop.
What do you think, Lamar? Anybody up and down?
I like Gordon. I think his rebounding and stuff don't go up, but I think his points might dip. Murray and Jokic going to get most attention on offense.
Yeah, and Porter. Porter don't like to be outshot.
Yeah, Porter.
He's like, you got four shots, I get 4 shots, you know?
Porter get the ball in his hands, he's shooting it. He ain't passing it.
Always. Well, guys, we got like 5 minutes left on the old clock. So this was great for our 0.5 man. I appreciate everybody coming on and talking a little of this NBA trade deadline. Is there anything anybody got that you want to shoot out? A holler, a go team.
Thank you. It was good to see everyone, and let's go Sixers.
All right, Sixers. Well, Lamar, thanks for coming, man. I know you just you pop right out of work and everything, so I appreciate it, man. It's great to see you. Jack, thanks for everything.
Thank you so much,
Showed up,
sir.
guys. And
Thank you.
we will try to do this again soon. All right. We'll get
Thanks
to
so
that
much for having.
episode 1 coming. All right. Thanks, guys. And check out EDF Sports, theeverydayfan.com. Go check us out. All of us got stuff on there, and they're all good. Let me tell you, you won't regret it. So anyway, we'll check you guys next time.